Hello, I am Centimus Prime, and here I will be reviewing the Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition Deluxe Class Sideswipe. Now starting off, we will be taking a closer look at the figure himself. And of course, we will be starting off by taking a closer look at the head. The head does look pretty good. Very much how I'd expect a Sideswipe head to look. Very nice. It's done up in this very neat gunmetal plastic. Face is sculpted and painted nicely. The eyes are painted in a nice blue and all that. It's what I expect to see from a Sideswipe head design. Now moving down to the chest, it does look kind of simple, but it does get the detail, but it does get to the look that the game model has going for it. Does look very nice. Does look fair. Do get to this big silver stripe going down the chest with little hints of gunmetal paint in those crevices. So we do have those little hints of gunmetal paint poking through, as well as a nice Autobot symbol smack dab on the chest. Moving to the arms do look really nice. I do like how the shoulders look with the tire situated here. For the forearm is simple, and it's simple, but it's alright. I especially like. I do like how they lock in the tires for the robot mode. I feel like that's a really cool thing, where the transformation here is so this thing untabs and swings around, and then it would just let the tire free. But if you want to tab it back in, you line up the tire so that one of these slots can be lined up with the tab on this red part, so you could just lock it back in. It's very nice. Moving now to the lower arms, I do notice that the lower arms appear to be all done up in gunmetal plastic, just painted over in red. Do you notice that? Moving down to the legs. Legs looking nice. Legs look good. They do get nice little hints of gunmetal and silver. Very neat. Fairly nice, I think. It's again very simple. Again, not too out there. But it's alright. It's perfectly serviceable for this figure. And of course, turning him around, this is how he looks from the back. Now, as far as the back goes, I do like how far back these heels go. So it does have no trouble standing, despite the amount of kibble he has on the back. He does have a bit of kibble on his back. And which is like I've seen like worse kibble backs than this, kibbly backpacks like this, but it does kind of bother. But I do see it like bothering those who like really like their War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron like character models, or like in-game models, because in case like you haven't played those games, like for pretty much the entirety of the gameplay for those games, you're pretty much looking at these models from like this angle, from a third person perspective, like from this angle. And when I found out that like Hasbro's is that they are doing like new takes on these like High Moon game designs, I detailed that I would prefer them like getting spot on is indeed the backs of the robot modes. But aside from that, it doesn't even look that bad. Like the backs of the arms are alright. The backs of the legs. The back of the legs are really neat because they do have these like extra panels which like fill the legs in a little bit more. So that's nice. Fairly neat. Now, going into the articulation, the head is on a ball joint. A very expressive ball joint. It can look down a little bit. Unfortunately, it doesn't really look up at all due to how it's sculpted, but it does have a good range of head tilt. So there is that at least. The shoulders I do take slight issue with because while they are on ball joints and like theoretically they should have a good range of movement in the ball joints, and I'm just going to pop this off real quick. If you look at the ball joint connected to the shoulder, notice how it's at like a sort of 45-degree angle. Because of that, when you popping this back in, because of that, like his outward movement is fine. Like it's mostly just the sculpting getting in the way of that. But when you try like rotating the arm like this, it feels like you're stressing out the plastic, or like it feels like the sculpting of the shoulders is colliding with the hinge joint because of that angle, and an ever so slight like barely even noticeable like ball joint movement back and forth. So there's that. I personally don't like these shoulders, mostly because of how the ball joints are positioned. Definitely like feels limiting. The biceps do a 360, a single joint at the elbow, which has a great range of motion. Like you can bend it up like all the way that much, and even when you're utilizing the bicep, you get a little bit more of that. So you get great motion in the lower arms, and due to transformation, the wrists can hinge in and out. Does have a waist rotation, however, by utilizing it, you're not only knocking the back kibble out of place, but you're also knocking the chest out of place. So he does have a 360 like waist movement, but he knocks stuff out of place, and which can get annoying, but it's not terribly bad. The hips are on these ball joints. Just readjusting the light a bit. So, hips are on ball joints. Can't really, due to sculpting, can't really kick out terribly far, but you do get a great range of kick, and you get great range of kick. And when you knock this back, it has a good range backwards. You can play with the ball joint and have it sort of rotate at the hip. Of course, has a thigh swivel. And knees can bend a little, ever so slightly past 90. Though these knees, on my copy, these knees are a bit looser than I would like them to be, but regardless, fortunately, they're not like weak to a point where it's like super annoying. They just feel loose. And for the ankles, no ankle tilts, which is surprising, even though they easily could have fit one. It does have a good range of toe bend due to transformation. And while I'm at the legs, I would like to mention like something about like the side panels, because these side panels do tab in, like these slots do tab into these like tabs. Okay, on this leg for my copy, it sort of refuses to do that, which can be annoying. But it's not like that big of a deal. It's still like it can still the ball joint can still hold it in place well enough. It just gets a little bit messy when you start playing around with it a little bit, at least for my copy. As far as accessories go, he does come with this gun, which is really, really neat. Done up, there's a good bit of details, and there's a good bit of sculpting. It does have a magazine that's poking out through the side of the weapon, which is interesting. Probably a weapon that's accurate to the War for Cybertron game. And and because this is one of them Gamer Edition figures, you can pop off the right arm and attach this gun onto the peg, giving him that ever so iconic weapon arm, transformed weapon accessory from the arm thing that the game sort of has. That iconic game mechanic of the arm being integrated in the arm. The weapon being integrated into the arm. Very nice. Now, a little pet peeve I do have with these guys is that the right arm does have this really nice gimmick. The left arm doesn't, and I have been told that all of the War for Cybertron figures are supposed to be like this, because that game mechanic hasn't been introduced until Fall of Cybertron. I honestly wouldn't know that because I haven't played that one. I've been the one who's played the Evolved Cybertron one. So obviously I would want both arms to be able to do this. But who knows, maybe later on when Studio Series does these gamer editions, starts doing the gamer editions for the Fall of Cybertron game, maybe they might do that. Integrate that in. Would be nice. Another thing about this accessory, there's this tab right here that you use to plug into the vehicle mode. But something I have noticed is that the width is like very thin. It's thin enough for the tab to tab into the vehicle mode, but the length of this tab is pretty much 5 millimeters, which means you can plug this tab into the hand and have him hold the gun in a more traditional way, which is kind of neat. And in case you're wondering, it is indeed Blast Effect compatible. So there is that. So now let's get into the size comparisons. Starting out, here he is next to Crosscut. So you can see he's a good, average deluxe sort of size. Here he is next to... Oh, there's the cardboard. Here he is next to the Netflix Prime. Here he is next to the Netflix Prime. And here he is next to the Toxitron collection Toxitron, who we'll be getting into a bit more later. And another thing I should have mentioned, as standard with all of these Studio Series releases, does come with these this cardboard backdrop, which is very nice. Not a whole lot to talk about. I haven't before. Some really neat backdrop, and the only notable thing is that all the Gamer Edition releases has these silver base boxes instead of the usual red ones. And of course there's the title of the game that this dude's from. So there's that. Very neat. And with that, let's get into this dude's transformation. So for this dude's transformation, first we pull out his chest, untab this, fully accordion that out. Then what we do is, we pull the kibble and stuff out, fold the hands in, obviously, fold the feet up. We can untab these and utilize the ball joint connection here to rotate these car panels around. And so there is that. Let's rotate the waist 180. Let's swivel this thing back here, which can be detached. It is connected to the 5mm MechTech port system, so and it comes packaged separately. So there is that, but you do rotate that. Next, what we do is we untap. So what we're supposed. I think I might have done it in the wrong order. So what you're supposed to do is you untab these sides. You untab this out of here. Then you rotate the head in. Then what you do is you take these silver parts, straighten them out, like sort of like fold this in place, rotate the lower arms back like this. And then before you connect this, you swing this over so that the chest like goes around, and basically you swing the chest around, and then after you do that, then you lock these two like noodly arm bits, and you interlock these like shoulders into place. Then what you do is you take these tabs, plug them into those slots. Do that with the arms. Then what you do is you untap the wheels, flip these parts around, making sure everything's locked into place. We don't lock that into place yet. Then we work on the arms. So what we do for the legs. Sorry. Whew. I must be tired. So what you do for the legs is you take these panels, swing them out, rotate these like these panels in like that. You rotate them like that. You do the same with the other one. Make sure that when you swing these back into place, that this tab will line up with this slot. But for now, let's just lock those into place by tapping these two parts together. Okay, then after that, you can swing this around, swing the legs around. You plug those parts in. You swing these panels back and swing those back into place. You plug the sides of the car into the arm panels, making sure that's the sides of the car locked into place. Then you take this part, you lock it in. These tabs are going to tab into the slots in the torso and the chest, but also these slots are going to slide over these tabs right here. So just lock that into place, tab that in, and then finally you take the front of the car, you swing it over, you tab it into place. You just squeeze it down until it's nice and solid. Now, moving forward, and here we have the Sideswipe in his car mode. Now, taking a look at his car mode, it does look really neat. I am liking how this car mode looks. Now, take a look at the front, where that Kibbly backpack is mostly made of. Look at it, it does look very nice, though it does have a nice, sort of fender shape. The, sort of hood stripes are really neat. There's another Autobot logo right there. The front of the car does have this, nicely painted, decently painted bumper, as well as what appears to be sort of grille details, which is neat. There's no front windshield, but that's likely because it's a Cybertronian vehicle. Doesn't even have windshields at all. Though looking at the sides, you might assume that these black stripes are side windows. Maybe. I see these as uh, additional like racing stripes. I don't see those as like like side windows. And of course, we get like this nice like this long techno like racing stripe, silver racing stripe across the hood. Well, not the hood, the roof of the car, which also carries over, it all the way through, even behind the spoiler piece, due to the chest, plate being here, which is very nice. The car mode, I feel like, is simple, yet it has been done very well. And here's how he looks from the underside. Oh, I forgot an additional step. You tab these heels into the shoulders, like that. So you have that. Looking at the sides of the car, you do get some nice like venting details and stuff like that. It's very neat. The tires look really nice with that red pinstriping to sort of help like indicate that. Like these are glowing with that, like kind of like how they do in the game. So now swinging over to the back bumper, which does look which does kind of look unsightly, but it's not doing too bad. It's perfectly serviceable, and from the looks of it, it also just to me kind of looks like exhaust sort of details back here, which is neat. Now the rear wheels are pinned in while the front wheels are mushroom pegged in. So as far as rolling goes, let's make sure everything's sandwiched in. As far as rolling goes, he rolls fairly well. He rolls pretty good. As far as like rolling cars should. Fairly neat. Now, bringing in the gun. So, bring in the gun if you want to like plug this gun onto the car mode. You do have this tab which can plug into the car mode. You can plug it in on top of the roof like so. Like that's your sort of standard thing. Or you can like plug it into closer to the front. But that just leads to the gun barrel just pointing downward. This kind of looks like another additional like slot, but it's like not really tight enough to like actually like use it. I would like to mention that while plugging in the spoiler bit, the spoiler part, I do notice that there's a slight bit of like stressing of the plastic for this part. I do happen to notice that it's more noticeable on this side. It's a hardly noticeable thing, but it's something that I have noticed. But overall, the car mode does look fairly good. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. It just looks like a simple like little Cybertron like car mode. Now, for vehicle mode comparisons, here he is next to the Legacy skids. Here he is next to him. Like a little bit longer than skids. Definitely shorter than skids. But they do like share like a similar detail in the fact that their rear wheels are pinned in while their front wheels are mushroom pegged in. So there is that. For a fellow Cybertronian car mode, here he is next to the Bumblebee movie Wheeljack. So that's how he compares and fares next to a Cybertronian car mode that doesn't follow the same design philosophies as the Bumblebee movie designs, but they do both look nice and futuristic and Cybertronian and all that. And because I've noticed that, and because why not, here he is next to the Siege Mirage mold, the Netflix Decepticon Mirage. I mainly just compare these two next to each other because, like Sideswipe here, Mirage also has a transformation where the front chest form basically gets sent over. Basically becomes the rear of the vehicle when in the transformation. So there is that. So my overall thoughts on this Sideswipe, it's pretty neat. I do like the car mode. The car mode is perfectly fine. I have a very nitpick. I only have a very nitpicky thing when it comes to the rear bumper. But in terms of the robot mode, I do take issue with how the shoulders are molded. I do take issue with how the shoulders are done in terms of articulation and all that. But aside from, and I would have preferred tighter knees, but that's probably my copy sort of thing. But aside from that, this robot mode was also fair and was fairly serviceable. And other things are honestly just more nitpicky things, the feet not having ankle tilts, even though that's a super standard thing for Transformers toys nowadays. It's a perfectly serviceable thing. If you are a fan of these Gamer Edition characters, it does. I do think that this is a nice addition to that lineup. Definitely, I don't really think it's the best, but it is definitely far from the worst. It is a perfectly serviceable Gamer Edition Sideswipe from that High Moon game. I'm not plugging that in. Overall, I like it. It's pretty neat. Now, for those who went and watched my Toxitron review, I am so sorry. Apparently, it cut, during the review, it, cut out, something went wrong, cutting out, the tail end of that review, unfortunately, so that footage was lost, which is unfortunate. Big apologies for that. So I did notice that it did cut out, right before I did the robot mode comparisons. So I'm gonna start from there. And like, and basically talk you through, like, basically the things that were missing in that review. So, for robot mode comparisons, here he is next to the Crosscut Deluxe. And here he is next to the Siege Optimus Prime mold and the Earthrise Optimus Prime mold. And as you can see, like, despite, like, having, like, crazy retools, like, especially for the top half of their bodies, they're all pretty much, like, this mold is pretty much neck and neck with these other two, with the only notable thing making him look taller are indeed the shoulder pads. So there is that. Like, comparing this dude's legs compared to the Earthrise, there are some notable differences, like more subtle things like the wheels being molded differently, but more notably, like, all this greebliness from the Earthrise mold, completely replaced with some different with basically more connection points and stuff like that. Does make it look a little bit more hollow, but it's overall not a terrible trade-off. Now moving these guys aside, and something that I am considering, like, doing is maybe I should, and because these can pop off fairly easily, I'm considering, like, taking off these like shiny painted ones off of the Netflix Prime and, like, putting them onto the Toxitron, maybe? I'm not sure. I'm still considering it. Would look neat. Now, a detail that I missed while reviewing is something regarding the trailer. So, splitting apart the trailer into the base mode, and if you take off this dude's weapons, there are dedicated, like, slots that you can use to plug your weapons in. Like you can put, like, for the sword, you can plug these, you can tap these like tabs into these slots in either this side or this side, like so. You can plug the sword onto either side. And the same goes for the axe accessory, except for its different slots, because what you do here is you tap these tabs into these sort of H-shaped slots, again on either side. It's really neat. You can just plug these in like so, and you can have additional, like, so you have like additional, like, weapon storage for these accessories in case you don't want to store them onto Toxitron's vehicle mode. So with that, we can close the trailer back up and basically set that off to the side. And now we get to my overall thoughts on the Toxitron. Overall, I do enjoy this mold. I also really enjoy the mold in these colors, because it is, like, really neat. Really, really neat. The vehicle mode is phenomenal. is perfectly fine. I do really like the vehicle mode. This trailer is incredibly good, especially compared to that of that simple box that is the Earthrise trailer. Robot mode looks very good. Does have a fair bit of shoulder articulation. It has perfectly serviceable shoulder articulation despite the shoulder pads, though it's not the best like towering shoulder articulation I've seen. But I will say it is better than this guy's right here. It does feel like an improvement in shoulder articulation compared to that version of Megatron. Fairly neat. And even like the extra little like additional like things like the like these like panels that are only integrated in for filling in gaps and stuff, I thought was really nice, really clever. The Matrix accessory is fairly nice. The color scheme absolutely rolls. So, my overall thoughts, do I recommend this dude? I say if you want this mold, then go for it. There are a few options. If you want the Laser Optimus Prime to like help fill out your modern G2 collection, then I say go get that one. If you want your classic like Nemesis Prime colors, like for this, if you like this mold in your classic Nemesis Prime colors, then I say get the Velocitron one. However, if you do want however, if you just want like a nice vibrant and if you want a nice vibrant like just looks really nice, and I say like go for Toxitron here. He's very nice. It does make me happy that like Toxitron like finally get a proper figure of the version of Toxitron that he's was supposed to be from the very start. Like, you know, he was supposed to be a go-to like repaint mold for this like Laser Prime like mold. He's supposed to be like a go-to repaint for this take on the mold. And I say he looks really nice. Very nice. Overall, I do really like. I especially like the colors. The colors are really neat. And the rest of the figures like really good too. So, overall, I do say I do enjoy these two figures. Fairly neat. Very, very neat indeed. And with that, I think that'll be it. That'll be it if you enjoyed this like review slash the things I missed from the last review. consider to like and subscribe, and maybe even comment if you want. And hopefully, like something like this doesn't happen again in the near future. I don't really want that happening. But anyway, that'll be it for this video. If you enjoyed this review and the things missing from this guy's review, consider to like and subscribe and maybe even comment if you want. And of course, I will be posting again sooner or later.